Hi everyone, Aiden here with the trailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Swagman XTC2 Tilt platform style bike rack and seeing how it fits on our 2023 Subaru Outback. This is going to be a more entry-level option for a platform style bike rack. A little more bare bones, maybe not the easiest thing in the world to use, but it is effective at what it does. With it being a platform rack, it's going to hold the bike, in this case, in these wheel hoops. It's going to basically just have the bike sit on the rack. And this one, the primary method of holding it is going to be the frame hooks found here on the center mast. Those are going to ratchet down on top of the frame and give it a good strong hold to keep it upright and in place. Because it makes frame contact, this is not going to be the best option for carbon frame bikes. Same thing goes for alternative frame bikes, but with those you can usually get a bike adapter bar to go across and serve as the attachment point. And then with the weight capacity, it's going to be able to handle up to 35 pounds per bike. So not the best thing for our e-bikes and larger bikes, but if it's under 35 pounds, it can handle it. Now this one does have a nice feature, which is the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded. For these kind of entry-level options, it's a real hit or miss feature of whether you get it or not, and the fact that it has it is great because I always like to see it. It makes the bike rack much more usable with your vehicle. And that can be found at the bottom. There's a pin and retaining clip down below here that we can just remove. And with the way the bike rack sits, it's not going to tilt away on its own. You can come up, get a good grip on the mast, and just lower it back. Nice and easy. And because it's not meant for super heavy bikes, chances are, even if it's fully loaded, it won't be that heavy to tilt away. So easy to do on your own. This leaves you plenty of room to step in here, get stuff in or out of the back, or maybe just have a place to sit down before or after your ride to change your shoes. There's not a ton of room here, but it's enough. And the nice thing is you don't have to remove your bikes to do so. And once you get that lowered down, you can just push it back into place and re-secure that pin and clip. These wheel hoops on the bottom are going to be adjustable side to side to accommodate different wheelbases. And those also have these secondary attachment points, which are going to be these rubber straps that go through our wheels. Those aren't really doing a whole lot, just some extra security to keep the wheels held down. Pop those off first, and then once those are released, we can go to the frame hook and get those removed. They do have points right here where we could add a padlock if we wanted to, just to add some security to the bikes. It's not included, but it does have support for it. And then just press in on the button to release the ratcheting mechanism and push up. Be sure to keep one hand on the bike to level it out. And if you have it ratcheted down super tight, you might find that it's hard to break that tension at first. From here, you have to lift the bike up and over that center mast for that inner cradle, which for a 35-pound max shouldn't be too difficult, but it is a bit of a taller mast. Just something to be aware of going into it. You can set that to the side. And I always like to put these wheel hooks back in place so I don't lose them. One of them is going to be longer. You want to put that one on first. And you can hear it ratchet down into place. And although it's not the smoothest thing in the world, there are a lot of fine teeth here. So you get lots of fine-tuning adjustment with that ratcheting mechanism, which is pretty nice. And at this point, I like to replace the wheel straps there just so they aren't freely moving around. And to save some space, I like to fold the center mast down. There's a pin in the center here that we can just pop out, tilt this to either side, and then re-secure it with a pin at the bottom. Because the rack doesn't fold upright against your vehicle, you're not really going to save any space by leaving it in the hitch, but this will at least unobstruct our backup camera, our license plate, things like that, and allow us to still open up our hatch. So if we leave this in the hitch between rides, we're going to the grocery store or something, we still have access to the back, and we can leave this mostly set up for the next ride. At this point, we can get some measurements, starting off with our ground clearance. At the back end, the lowest point to the ground, right here where it pivots, is going to be 16 inches, and over here is going to be 20 inches at the furthest back point. Honestly, I don't think ground clearance should be too much of a concern for you. There is a little bit of a rise in the shank here, and it mostly sits close to the vehicle, so steep driveways and hills shouldn't be too much of a problem. For the distance added to the back, it comes in at an impressive 21.5 inches from the bumper to the outer point of the rack, which For a 2-bike rack is probably one of the closest that we've seen today. It's nice because you're not adding as much length to the back of your vehicle. That's a really good thing because it doesn't fold up to save space. So if you are leaving it in the hitch, be mindful that there's 21.5 extra inches back here for parking spots, or maybe even your garage at home. The other nice thing about this is the ability to kind of put this into a garage storage mode. So this doesn't really do a whole lot for your hitch, but I always like to point it out. The mast can go back up, straight up and down, and these side arms actually fold upright and pin back into place. And this is going to just compact the bike rack quite a bit. We use this whenever we're storing the bike rack down here in the shop for videos because it's just very condensed, doesn't take up much room, and it's easier to carry around. So if you don't want to leave it in the hitch between rides, you don't have to. It's going to take up a lot less room this way. Moving down to the hitch, we can see it's working with our 2" by 2" receiver tube, but it will work with an 1¼ inch as well by removing that outer sleeve. And then it uses a regular anti-rattle bolt. You could always swap that out for a locking anti-rattle bolt, but it's not included. From out of the box, it's going to be a nice solid fit in the hitch at least. And that's really all there is to it. If you're looking for a good entry-level option for a platform-style rack, and you don't mind the frame contact, this is a nice option. It's just a little clunky around the edges, hard to use in some ways, but if you can get past that and you like the way it folds up and tilts away, I think it's going to be a pretty fine fit on the 2023 Subaru Outback. Thanks for watching.
Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action. This simulates turning corners or evasively maneuvering. Once we get to the full speed bumps, we'll see the up and down action. This will be just like driving in and out of a parking lot, parking garage, or driveway. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or pothole or driving over uneven pavement.